baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on ShopTalk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to ShopTalk with your girl, because right here, we keeps it real.
Well, Happy New Year. Let's do that one more time. Remix. Do the doggone remix. Welcome to Shop Talk with Mel. And again, Happy New Year to you. Today, of course, we got it going on. We got the hot topics. We got Mels Medical Moments, Q-tips. My guest today is Kim, the go-to girl. We're going to talk about redistributing roles when she makes more money. How's that going? Which segues us into our Shop Talk question of the week, which I'll leave later. Roogle the Movie Guy is going to tell us all about the movies and what's happening in the box office at the 11 o'clock hour. So be sure to keep it locked right here. Let's get into these hot topics real quick. All right, let's talk about Toni Braxton and Birdman. Yes, Toni, if you're a Toni Braxton fan, I am, and I watch the Braxton Family Values. Well, if you watch the Braxton Family Values or follow Toni Braxton, you do realize that Birdman proposed to her like in February would be a year. Yeah. February would be a year. He proposed to her, and she actually kept postponing the date. He was like, I need a date. So Tawanda, Toni's sister, she was like, he needs a date. He wants to tattoo a date on his face, his wedding date. Well, I don't think, Roogle shaking his head, no. Too bad y'all can't see us. I think that she kept postponing the date because usually people, they're excited. She said she wanted to do like the Great Gatsby type theme. And she kept postponing the date. She was happy about the ring. She lost the ring. Remember that? Somebody stole her luggage or something like that. Her ring was in her luggage. Usually when somebody is engaged, they wear the ring. But I don't know. Maybe it was over the top. I have no idea. I don't know. But I just think that she was kind of like just kind of stepping back a little bit and wanted to make sure that this is what she wanted to do. And she's known him for 14 to 15 years. They've been friends for like 14 to 15 years. When she was really sick with lupus and she was on tour, he was there. And that's when she kind of looked at him through a different lens. All right. So just want to, put that out there that they did call it quits. The social media, y'all already know I'm going to check into it for y'all on Instagram. She deleted pictures. He deleted pictures. They just okay, I'm done. I'm happy because she has two sons that are very impressionable. And I understand love is love. And she calls Birdman Brian, which is his real name. But I'm sorry, those tattoos do not disappear. And I just think that that's like, okay, your sons might look and say, okay, well, mom likes this guy. I'm going to tap my face up. And Roogle said off air that, what'd you say?
Oh, with him wanting to put the wedding date on his face or something, tattooing on him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he acted like his face is a Post-it note or something. It's like too much.
So that's over. Next, moving on. Tiffany Haddish, she bombed. She bombed on New Year's Eve. She had a set in Miami. People were walking out. And I'm like, everybody, this live studio audience, but just don't have their phone on silent.
But that music was perfect for it.
Was it?
Bomb. Yeah, my take on that is that, no hate, this is just my perspective, is that like I never really thought that she was that funny. Like I heard a stand-up piece that she did, and it seemed like be too long to get to the punchline that was unsatisfying. I mean, but it was kind of funny to hear her to go through her playing the different characters, even though it seemed to be cliche in what she was doing. Now, this is not the show because I don't know what she did at the show. I'm just saying from the perspective of what I analyzed
from what you heard,
comedy. Okay. So I'm really surprised that, sometimes it's just, you just got to be you just got to be somewhere at the right time. And she just happened to be that person. But I don't know if her talents are exceedingly extravagant compared to other comedians of the past. And I'm not talking about putting her up against greats. I'm just saying against more people more women that were actually, or just comedians, period.
Well, I'm talking about putting her up against the greats because that's how they, boosted her up. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't think that was funny when she did, what was her Oscars nomination?
Yeah.
When she was messing up names. Listen, and she thought that was funny to me. She laughed it off. If you don't know how to say the name, I think that they should have prepared her for it because that's not a comedic moment. If I know I worked hard my entire time, especially me, I'm really into the arts. I'm gonna need for you, if I'm a nominee, I'm gonna need for you to say my name correctly.
Yeah. Right. And the thing is, you when you're doing a nomination and things like that for something like that, first of all, it's the Oscars, so it's literally a historical moment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And my thoughts are, if you're preparing to do that, the very least you can do is say, I looked at this name, I don't know how you pronounce that. Somebody tell me, Google this. Somebody let me watch a video to see what someone else. At least if I say how someone else says it, it may be acceptable to that person because they say, oh, everyone says it like that, but it's really, But if you go out there like, laughing it off, like I don't even know, and then some of that could have been, I don't know, it was unprofessional. And I'll leave it at that.
Totally. And then everybody laughed it off as if she was a comedian.
Well, I think...
as if she was a comedian. She is a comedian.
Yeah, I think they laughed it off like, oh, she doesn't know. I think like she was like given this Cinderella kind of status. You know what I'm saying?
That is good. Yeah. Yes, I would say that.
Because
now, go ahead.
It's just like, oh, like this has happened to you in this moment, and we can overlook your...
errors?
This error because we know you're not refined or finished. That's okay.
Your ignorance. Yeah. Just say what it is.
It's beautifully bliss. To you only. And it's cute. Look at her make a mistake.
Well, here's the deal. When Kat talked about it when she first was blowing up, they thought that Kat was hating. I thought he was right. And he said it. He was like, she's not the Monique. She can't hold a set. Now, they're like, oh, well, she's really funny in the movies, but those are scripted. And you can ad-lib. Everybody funny in the movie, I think. If you can, you read it, boom. But you can't, you got to have a sense of humor. See, that's the difference. What'd you say? Well, when you read the line, you just read the line. You like, and they went that way.
What you talking about, Willis? Ain't funny like that. You know what I mean?
What are you talking about, Willis?
What are you talking about, Willis? Yeah. Is that Mr. Drummond saying that? You're not Mr. Drummond.
Arnold.
Yeah. No, if you were saying. Oh. What are you talking about, Willis? If you say it like that, you're Mr. Drummond and you're not Arnold.
Okay. Or just say they went that way. Say they went that way.
They went that way.
That's how you say it. How would you say it?
They went that way.
See? Mm-hmm. They went that way. I got the drama.
Oh, the drama. Okay.
I got the drama. Right. The drama there. They went that way. What? You know what I mean? You just had to be like, what? They went that way. I seen them. They went that way. Gotta add some extra stuff, you know?
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I'm with Kat, and I always was with Kat. So let's move past the next topic and save him for later. The McDonald's fight. Did you guys see the McDonald's fight? I was going to send it to you where the customer, and I'm just going to put it out there, they made sure they said the big white customer grabbed the little black girl that was the worker, the employee. Uh-huh. However, he did. He snatched her from across the counter and pulled her to the counter.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really different.
For what?
Over a straw. Over straws.
What state was this in? California?
This was in, I can't even remember right now. Okay. I can't even recall it right now. But, some states like Columbus, they're doing away with straws, period.
Yeah, and it's been a big upheaval about that because people with special needs sometimes need straws in order to enjoy a tasty beverage. So they were like, yeah, you don't understand that there's another level of this versus like y'all trying
saving the planet?
Yeah.
That's how I felt when they told me they couldn't, they did away with straws. I was like, what? Wait a minute. Hold on. I said, I felt that it was going to go into a medical supply store. That's what I said because people do need it.
Yeah, they need them.
You need straws.
My thing is make them out of paper.
Well, they do. And let's talk about that paper straw at the Green Turtle. Green Turtle has, yes, Green Turtle in Maryland. They have paper straws. The only thing is if you don't drink your drink right then, that paper disintegrates.
It just gets soggy.
It's in your drink.
Oh.
It's like it's soggy at the bottom, and then you get the little white particles.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, and I'm a talker.
So it's pretty. I was like, it's pretty much gonna be a day where like people carry like their wallet and their own personalized straws. That's what we got to get in that business.
We got it.
Trademark. We're trademarking that. We'll talk about it after the show.
Mm-hmm. Sipping at the same time. That's kind of whack. But anyway, that's what we do here on ShopTalk.
Yeah, if you have a straw. You wouldn't worry about that.
And I usually have a straw. Have a straw. Look at there. Don't even have no straw. All right. So in this particular video, he snatches the girl. And when he snatches her, she's giving it to him. Here's the issue that I had. The coworkers came up, and some of the men, they just looked. Now, first of all, forget the black or white issue. Let's go with man, woman. Okay? And she was little. He had to be like, he appeared to be like 6'2". She appeared to be like 5 foot, if that. But he snatched her. And I mean, he snatched her quick. Whoop! Right to the counter. She giving it to him. As she's giving it to him, the other male employees that were there, they just kind of watched it. I think they were like in shock. One came and they pulled her off. When they pulled her off of him, because she was giving it to him, I think he was shocked, like, oh, wait a minute. Then the manager came, a guy that appeared to be the manager, which he ended up turning out to be the manager, came over, sent her home, okay? And asked the customer, how could he help him? That's where I had an issue. I said, well, who's defending the worker? Now, this is all videoed. It's all out there. But as an employee, and when you are an employee, you need to know that your employer has your back. You need to know that. And in this case, it was like, instead of him asking I guess, what is that? That's McDonald's, that the customer is always right?
In Florida, too.
This is in Florida.
Florida, okay. Is that where the customer is always right? Are we still stuck on that? Because you just sit there and just punish the girl, and then him, how can I help you? He should have asked that man to leave. That man should have been arrested. Something. He assaulted her first. Yeah,
he should have called the authorities.
And you know what?
Straight up, because it was a fight happened.
Right.
But I can understand. This is one thing. I can see saying, okay, I need you to go home. But I don't think I would have told anybody in that level of duress to leave the building. I'd have been like, go back to the office and chill out for a minute, and then see what's going on here. But if there was money that had exchanged at that point in time, if I was a manager, I would have been like, hey, we got to refund you. We ain't going to serve you because something happened here. We don't know what happened, But my thoughts are, what was the preconceived idea of who she was? And I'm not saying that you're right to make a judgment call on that, but to me, his judgment call may have been,
he knows her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she said something smart, no doubt, but it still doesn't give him the
I think as a manager he was completely wrong, but I think also when you see the people that are like not really trying to help her. Now when I seen it, he grabbed her. And she turned it into like, hey, you grabbed the wrong person.
And he did. Because
even after she got the upper hand, she was holding him. Wah, 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 wah. You know what I mean? She was going to town on him. You know what I mean?
I ain't mad
at her. That was my punch sound. Yeah.
That was the sound effect.
I mean? Yeah.
It was like, to me, that man grabbed her. And I know he was shocked, like, oh, wrong one.
Yeah.
And listen, I think I know that they were surprised. The person that videoed it saw it coming. That's why it was already ready. The camera was already ready to catch the beginning. And then on there it said, over a straw. Now, she probably flied the mouth, no doubt. And the way that she was giving it to him, I'm sure that manager is probably used to her and probably thought it was her fault. She got fired.
Oh, I'm sure she got a colossal lawsuit.
She needs to have one.
If she don't, I mean, she don't even need a lawyer for that. She can write that on Birdman's face and take it to the judge.
Birdman's face, just added it, say, just walking on in.
McDonald's over this on Birdman's face.
Right. Well, the guy who actually assaulted her, his name is Daniel Taylor. He was charged with 2 misdemeanors of simple battery.
What?
She need to get paid.
But how you gonna get charged with a misdemeanor for simple battery when you assault somebody at their workplace?
Right.
At their
exactly
workplace.
At their place of employment.
And you don't even know this person. Like this is beyond, like, because when I hear that misdemeanor thing. I'm thinking like domestic violence, kind of like not to take that lightly. I'm not, but I'm saying like what I'm saying is like something that erupts between two people who know each other. Like, we are in a situation where I do not know you. You may be a frequent customer to the drive-thru or whatever it is. You may not even be. But we are having one isolated incident, and you decide to
and she was fighting for her life. I don't know you.
She was fighting for her life. And to be honest with you, I'm really surprised that the whole McDonald's crew just didn't, like, go and, like, wallop the kid like he was, molly-whopping. Like if he was a person who was panicking on a plane,
right?
Because you get a group of people could kill somebody on a plane for wilding out, and this person coming to attack you, especially in this day and time. Because my thoughts are, if he'd had a handgun, she'd have surely been dead,
right?
Or he'd have surely attempted to shoot her,
right? I agree with you because the way that he responded.
So I think she did exactly what was right, because you can't wait for you. When you're in a situation where somebody assaults you, how can you wait to see how it's going to turn out? Because you don't know when that person's breaking, when that person going to get to that tipping point of like, either I keep on going or I stop and I realize, hey, this is wrong.
If he snatched her, he was gone.
He was wrong from the.
I mean, who does that? You just out. Yeah. You don't even know anybody. You just snatch somebody. Oh yeah, you're gone. And you're right. If he had a handgun, she'd have been dead.
Yeah. And I think too, though, like I don't know, man. Like we make people so docile now. I think in certain environments that like people would have been like, yeah, like no customer even reacted or anything like that to like kind of be like, hey, or why don't y'all get a manager up here? Y'all see this is going on, like you get all these not even innocent bystanders, because sometimes it's just people waiting to see something happen, and I get the person was filming it, I mean, and everything. But, sometimes I just kind of feel like, hey, y'all see something happening. Why doesn't somebody say, hey, get somebody?
See something, say something, huh?
Yeah.
She said she videoed it too.
Yeah, that video might have been better than actually someone saying something.
Absolutely. All right. Another Florida girl. She had, she took her SATs. Did y'all hear about this one?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She took her SAT results. Now, the first time she took it, her score was 900. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to get in this particular school for dance. Hey, shout out to the arts. Mm-hmm. She wanted to get into this particular school. And she felt that she had a better chance of getting into it if she had a higher score. So she retook the score. Mom got her a tutor, everything. She took the SAT again 7 months later after studying for it and got a 1200. Well, the her SAT scores was flagged. Mm-hmm. They feel as though that she cheated on the SATs because she said because of the significant change. Go ahead. Did you want to add to that?
I think that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. If she studied. She had her tutor sign that she was studying. She had her counselors, everybody involved in helping her prepare for that second exam, all vouched for her. But because they thought that she hadn't earned that score, they held it. So she was not able to apply to the programs in the schools that she wanted to because they held her scores. If you cannot prove that she cheated, give her scores and let her move forward. Yeah. You can't take your opinion and say you didn't earn this.
Right, isn't that something? And then I'm like 7 months later, it wasn't like a week or a month. It was 7 months. She had time to prepare. Yeah. And usually when you take a test, let's be real, because I am that person. Mm-hmm. I'll take a test. I'll be like, okay, let me see where I'm at. That's me. Like, oh, okay, if I pass, okay, cool. I can do better. Now let me study for it.
And the thing is, like, going to the test and everything she had on it, we don't know what her test taking abilities was in the beginning, and she could have just been like. So some people just get overwhelmed because I got to take.
I'm a poor test taker too.
I have test anxiety to the max.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So I think like her dream, and this is the thing that just kills me about this story is that we will watch an inspirational movie about something where it's like, oh, this person from the wrong side of the tracks, or this person who didn't have the opportunity, they dug deep and they made it happen. You know what I mean? And then you, like, even when you think of, like, Ben Carson, which I didn't think I'd be using Ben Carson in an analogy, but when you think about him and his story, like, the odds that he overcame to become who he is, and it's like, well, what happened? there was a thing in his head where he said, "I will not fail. I will press in this in a major way." And she was looking at her future and this being the key to that future, and she did what we inspire people to do. She pressed into an idea, and she made transformative growth, and she should be applauded for that.
Absolutely.
And they should give her money back for the test.
Yeah, and who's to say that the first score wasn't the fluke? Maybe she was having a bad day for the first exam. They don't know. Maybe it wasn't that she didn't know it. Today just wasn't a good day. And now that I see what's on it, let me tighten up a little bit because now I've taken it. And then she went ahead.
Now you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Because of anxiety.
Exactly. So, I mean, for them to just assume that she did not earn that score, to me, is stereotypical. It's a generalization. And I think it was totally inappropriate.
I agree. Especially, what's the highest? Like 1,600?
No, she was, I think it's like 14.
Is the highest?
Yeah. So she like killed it.
I don't know why I'm thinking.
Because I think like
y'all already know I be eating. We do this on this silly show. No, I thought it was. I don't know why I kept thinking 1,600.
I think it's like 1,400. Like yeah.
My SAT score was the bomb, and
the highest possible score is 16.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay. I'm like, I don't know why I was thinking it because I didn't want to be like. I didn't want to be
1,600. She had 1,200, and they flagged her. So
they shouldn't even flag.
So it was because the growth she had in between the scores.
That's what
it's the time that they have to look at too. Once you take an exam and you know the structure of the test, the type of questions they ask, the way they test you, from the time that she got a 900 to the time that she got a 1,200, she studied. People tutored her, and she got it. I don't understand the big deal. If she was from certain places and certain other ethnic persuasions, we might not be having this conversation.
And if Daniel Taylor wasn't a certain persuasion, he wouldn't be charged with 2 misdemeanors of simple battery.
I mean,
he'd be shot, and we'd be talking about it on the news.
Right.
I can understand that they had a system for like, okay, we see something that could be an anomaly, but as far as like the resolving of that process, like it probably shouldn't have gone to the lengths that it went to.
Okay.
You know I
think so because so now that you confirmed the 1,600, and see that's where I was at. She went from 900 to 1,200, so 1,200 to 1,600. It still wasn't like it was. Now if it was 1,400, it'd be like, "Woo, she killed it." You know what I'm saying?
Thinking,
but it's still not even. You know, if it's 1,600, so she was at 900, so she's like.
She studied 7 months, went up 300 points. I mean, to me, that's still not a big woo.
Right.
I mean, it was an improvement. Now, if she's got a 1,600, maybe
or she got a 1,599, then I'm like, hold up.
I think the thing is, once you understand something, you know, you do better at it. And she may be way more academically inclined than what her previous grades may have been based off of, like what she pressed in to do. I mean, because her focus was dance. You know what I mean? I mean, not to say that she didn't take her academic serious.
But better study habits.
But I'm just saying, like, when you know that this is it, and I got to in order for me to transition to that next step, like nothing else matters at that point in time. And so it was probably for her dancing and prep for this test. Because you figure she knew she was college bound, so she probably was she's graduating anyway,
right? You
know, so I don't look at her from hearing her story as being a struggling student. You know what I mean? I just think like, you know, that in some cases the entrance tests are ridiculously unjustified.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. I think unless you can prove she cheated, she didn't.
Yeah.
But here's what's sad. She thought she was getting her test score to go ahead and apply, and
no, they held her.
They held her up, so now she's stuck.
Apply.
That's foul. Anyway, she got an attorney to handle that part. Now let's talk about. I know we talked about the Kevin Hart thing, but I want to say this again. So they're revisiting him being a host because they didn't get anybody for the Oscars. Ellen DeGeneres called up to the Oscars, and she's like, "Well, what's going on?" And why can't Kevin host it? And it's a teachable moment and all this other stuff. And they wanted him to apologize again. Now, he did say on her show, he was like, yeah, I was younger and I think differently now. I just feel like this. Why can't we think? They can think the way they want to think and say what they want to say. Look at 45. Mm-hmm. Why can't you think and say what you want to say. I guess he did like some gay jokes, but here's the deal. You have people or gay bashing jokes on his previous stand-ups before. That's what it's on. If you don't like that particular comedian, you don't go see that particular comedian. Just like you have, like, let's go back to Richard Pryor. If you can't deal with a cursor, then you don't go and you don't see that cursing comedian. You know what I'm saying? So different comedians have different niches, and it's like, do I want to see this? Do I want to see the Sinbads all the time?
Mm-hmm. I think, and I, you know what, I kind of don't feel all that great about Ellen DeGeneres right now.
Okay,
and I'll go into that quickly, but we talked about that story. When that was that November or was
yes,
that okay,
yeah.
So a month later, now you say something now.
Because they still don't have a host.
Yeah, but why did she? I mean, like, if she felt like his comments or things could be justified and like it was the time and it was, you know, he should be able to move past that.
Why didn't she do it immediately?
Why didn't she do something earlier?
Well, see, here's the thing. Remember, he's the one that stepped down, right?
Yeah, and I mentioned that. I mentioned exactly what she said is what I mentioned on that show. I was like, he should have used it. He should have still did it. He shouldn't have stepped down unless they told him we don't want you.
Right.
You know. But the thing got me upset about Ellen was I was listening to, my wife was watching a clip of Cardi B on the show, and I guess this was probably when she was with the
Offset.
Yeah,
her husband.
And
look, when her and her husband were together.
Yeah, and Ellen DeGeneres, I don't know if she called herself being cool. I don't know what the hell she called herself doing. But she said to her, "Well, yeah, I helped your baby's daddy get a car," and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like, would you like if it was a white woman who was an opera singer or whatever, did anything else?
What was the relevance behind that?
Well, why did she call him a baby daddy?
And that's her husband.
The way she said it.
And that's her husband.
Yeah, she was like, I helped your baby daddy get a car. And I was just like, man, that's foul. Like, I was about to say what I really feel about it, you know. And it was just like, I was just listening. Because first of all, I don't like the Ellen show. I don't think she's funny, you know. And I don't like Cardi B. But I do like what she's done recently, and it's unrelated to any of her music, but her kind of like saying like, I ain't really buying into this whole thing. You cheat, you know, I got this baby by you, I'm done. You know,
and that's her.
But what was her reaction when Ellen said that?
She was just kind of just caught up in being on the show. I mean, she was she seemed extraordinarily ignorant. You know, I mean, I'm just gonna tell you how she just interacted with it and stuff like that. She kind of just went with it, like, oh, you know, like it was nothing.
And she's probably calling him a baby daddy because she ain't getting back with him.
But she didn't. But the thing is, if she
instead of saying estranged husband,
if she would have said it, then that would have been different. But to me, why is Ellen feeling the need to try to go in here and code switch when her audience is not the audience that she need to code switch for? And if she was going to code switch, it should have been reversed. If Cardi B said, "Oh, this is my baby's daddy," she's like, "Oh, your father, your child's father," you know, or whatever, you know. And I just kind of feel like you ain't gotta. First of all, I personally get. One of my pet peeves you didn't talk about is when people from different cultures try to connect with you by saying something they think is cool. Oh, what's up, man? Can I help you, man? Hell no, you can help me because I'm a customer and you will address me as sir. Goddammit. You know what I'm saying? I mean that really pisses me off, and I hate that. I hate it.
What's up, dog?
You know, right.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? You know,
I gotta share this with you. I feel you on that. So I'm out at a restaurant, right? You remember that? I'm out at a restaurant, right? Hilarious. So me, the family, we all there. Everybody is like, hello. This person gets to me, and guess what they say? What's up? So I'm like, why they say that to me? Like, do I look like what's up? You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you, it was so funny because I'm offended by it until someone brought it to my attention and said, and my other cousin was like, after she got it, she said, that's what you get for being famous. That's what she said.
That's what I was thinking of.
Because it was on my it's on my Shop Talk with Mel. That's my thing. My profile picture is a cartoon that says, "What's up?" And I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
So but I feel you on that, because I felt like, why you? And it was like a culture thing. You know, it's like, why you say that to me? You know, everybody else, you're like, hi, how are you? You get to be like, what's up? What's that? Come on now, we need to. I need to actually. I was like, oh yeah, okay, you get a pass on that one. So I feel you on that. That is very, very different.
Yeah. And it was kind of crazy because she was on there talking about, well, you know, I helped him get this car, and I can help you get what car you want. And she's like, well, I want a Lamborghini truck.
But that's not okay.
It was just so.
Ellen doesn't need to be. What's your word? Validated.
Yeah, it was so like, I was just like, man. Like, I didn't like your show because I didn't think you were funny. But then when I heard her interview her, I was like, you know, she sound like, and I'm hating on everybody.
Go ahead, hate on her.
But you ever see like one of those David Letterman like late the last shows of David Letterman where he'd be like and it just seemed like, man, he just seemed so like old. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So you thinking she need to reinvent herself?
Like, I'm just like, I mean, she up there doing the dance and stuff, but her interview, like she became everything. Like okay, she may be this. Okay, she's this gay rights activist and all that kind of stuff. But she kind of like when she had that breakaway of being like something different. She almost, it seems like she's going and she's just being like what was already there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like this may be her, but it's still in line with the whole, I'm just going to white male perspective of, yeah, it was just, and I was just like, man, you just seem like a corny old white guy trying to talk to this young black, or I don't know, Hispanic woman.
Did he say corny old white guy?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like on some like I'm your uncle and I'm gonna pull a quarter from behind your ear type corny.
That throwback.
Yeah, like it was cool when I was 5, uncle, but I'm like 32 now.
Like, let's just do it.
You know what I'm saying? But at your funeral, I'll talk about how I missed that quarter coming from behind my ear.
All right,
do you think Kevin is going to do it then?
If I was Kevin, I really wouldn't, because here's the thing, and they didn't know what they did. They thought maybe they offended him. They didn't understand why he stepped down. People are allowed to have their thoughts. I believe that wholeheartedly. Everybody else could say what they want to say. And then the bully, like the Lost Studio audience said after that show, it's like, okay, you say you're against bullying. I was bullied my whole life, because they always associate that with it. And then you become the bully because people don't think the way that you think. I think we all should have our own opinions. We can think the way we want to think. Why do I have to apologize for the way that I feel? He said, it was in his joke, don't quote me on it, so you guys have to look that up, where he actually said if his son came to him and said he was gay, he would beat him up. Okay, that was part of his stand-up. Do you really think he's going to beat his son up? We don't know, but it was part of his stand-up.
Right.
So they took that and they was like, no, he shouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. They want him to apologize again. Then I was watching The View, and John McCain's daughter talking about something. Well, he needs to publicly apologize. Who are you? I don't even know you. Why do I need to publicly apologize to make you feel better? I need to feel the way that I feel. If I'm against gay people, let me be against gay people. If I'm for gay people, I'm for gay people. Why is that so important? Who the heck people sleep with? I just don't get it.
Well, I think the thing is that when you look at Kevin Hart's comedy compared to like David Chappelle,
I don't even think Kevin is funny.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I wouldn't buy a ticket. So guess what?
Yeah, but like okay, like I think about like David Chappelle saying a joke like that. But I also think about David Chappelle.
David Chappelle could get away with it too, though.
I'm laughing, not even just
right, just his voice, yeah, with the same line. I'm sitting there thinking like that would be funny.
It would be hilarious.
But I think he would. I think the thing is like you can say a joke, and what are you going to do to ensure that like you smoothed it out to make sure that I said this, but that's not the way to go. You know,
right?
What I mean? And I think like. But
do you have to issue disclaimers? Maybe you should have issued a disclaimer.
I don't think that he should do it. Not because I think it would have been great to watch him do the Oscars. However, now that all of this has happened, he won't be able to be his authentic self.
No, he won't. He'll be uncomfortable.
Right. He won't be able to say or do the things he wanted to do because now everybody's waiting for him to screw up again.
Right.
And I don't even want to say again because if we went after every person in the comedic
it
world
wouldn't be anybody
who offended somebody, nobody anybody would have a gig anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Kevin Hart is an indication of how far we've fallen into the pit of political correctness.
Yes.
Yep.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
To where, and it's a dangerous place because our society is going through a metamorphosis that is not going to be good for the masses of people, even for our enjoyment of life, because the moment, the one area of our society that has always had an unspoken freedom was comedy.
Right.
Everybody knows if you walk into a comedy show that's already in progress, the minute you walk in and it's already in progress, you know that when that comedian sees you walking in, okay, you gonna get it.
And everybody
No
gonna
matter
laugh
who
at
you
you.
are.
Yeah.
If you the white guy, if you the white guy and the comedian's black, he gonna get you. The first thing he gonna capitalize on is your difference. If you the fat guy walking in, you gonna get it. If you the Asian guy, you gonna get it. I went to a comedy show in New Jersey and I had a front row seat, but the person who picked me up for my birthday picked me up late, and the comedian was white. When I walked in, the white guy said, "Whoa, wait! How did the black guy get a front row seat?" I mean, everybody cracks up laughing. I mean, I'm the spectacle, but I knew that comedy has always been the place where everybody knows the comedians have freedom to make people funny, saying anything they want to say. Now we're going to the point where there are certain now areas of our society, namely gay rights activists, that now it's hands off on gayness. You can't make funny. You can't use us as the butt of your joke because we don't like that. You know, it's like going back to the last people that did that were Jewish people. Jewish people just have a real hard time with you saying it. You can't even call a Jewish person a Jew. You realize that? If you call a Jewish person a Jew, they'll label you anti-Semitic. You can't call them a Jew. Only person can call a Jew is a Jew.
Oh, kind of like the N-word. Go ahead.
I, for the record, I thoroughly disagree. I just kind of feel like you get a certain platform and like for example, you got Richard. What's that guy from Seinfeld? When he would start calling the dude,
Cosmo,
and he started, saying all, he was,
but he was upset.
But he was addressing,
he was retaliating.
But he was on the stage.
He was retaliating. He was retaliating.
But so I'm saying,
against a heckler.
I'm just saying,
we talk about Cosmo Kramer.
I just think it's how the joke is formed and done. Like when they had David Chappelle do the stand up for it was Saturday Night Live, and he was talking about when Donald Trump, and he said this stuff, but he said, "Hey, y'all, this is all our country. We got to make it better, all whatever."
So he issued a disclaimer.
Well, I didn't say he issued a disclaimer. I'm just saying, like, a joke without a reasonable platform is just maybe just in bad taste.
Okay, now we got to move on to the next one. All right, Burger King. Burger King is acting up. They done reneged. It was a man, I want to say in Jersey. Speaking of Jersey, I think he was in Jersey. Anyway, the man got locked in the bathroom. So what they promised him was Burger King for the rest of his life. Instead of, that was their agreement. It's because it was a default on the locks or whatever at Burger King.
If he get Burger King for the rest of his life, he's going to be locked in the bathroom anyway.
Listen, right. But here's the deal. They reneged. It only happened for 2 weeks, and then they was like, no, you can't get no more. Now, I don't know if he was taking the family, if he was going all day. I don't know. So anyway, he is suing them. He is suing them for $10,000, which at his age now, that'll give him one Burger King meal for 22 years. So that's where he's at now. He's like, just give me the $10,000, and then that'll give me Burger King for 22 years, a meal a day for 22 years, and then he'll be okay. Because listen, how you gonna sit there and say, okay, this is what we're gonna give you, and then after the second week, renege, be like, nah, that's enough. I said the manager probably was like, you ain't gonna come here all day.
Did he take that in consideration for inflation, and is that upsizing involved with that?
Who cares?
It doesn't seem
Hey,
like the
Burger
numbers
King didn't
don't-
want to
Did
get sued.
Mr. Burger King write this on paper?
Yes.
It is documented.
Yes. It is
So it's a
documented.
breach of
So
contract.
that's what's going on. I was like, oh, not Burger King reneging too. Now, Nick Cannon is a host of a new show called Who's Behind the Mask.
Yeah,
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Man, why this cat? What kind of hair is that? I mean, for real. I was sitting there. I was like, why Nick Cannon? He looked like, I mean, ugh. Like he's selling miracles or tubes of holy water. Did you see his hair?
Yeah,
He got that curly hair coming. I was like, what is that? Why Nick Cannon looking like that?
This show is just, I didn't really like it.
You don't like the show?
I mean,
It just
it's
came
just-
out. It was good.
Yeah, all I needed was one episode.
Just
'Cause
one
it was
episode
just-
and you're in.
it
You're
was
out.
just too, like, it was just like, okay. Like the one lady from the, was it the
The Judges,
Don't
you mean?
Wish show? Yeah, what's the
Pussycat Dolls.
Yeah, I was like,
We talked about that. She was the one that brought out about the casting couch.
Yeah, she
Some
trying
years-
to be like, it's like, who's she trying to be, a new Paula Abdul or something like that?
See,
Like,
you are
like, they
comparing.
taking it to heights that is unnecessary. Like, it's just, well, you know, but it was so funny when she was like, oh, that's an athlete.
She knew it.
Yeah.
What you say? You was laughing. You was like,
I
oh,
was
she done been with some
rolling.
athletes.
I
She
was
know.
rolling.
I saw the way he was gyrating his hips. That's an
She's
athlete.
Like, that's an athlete.
Well, the
I was
concept
like-
of the show, if you guys haven't seen it, I think it's good, but it keeps you waiting. And the concept of the show is behind a costume is a celebrity, and you have to determine who this celebrity is. They give you certain clues. Like the girl, I think the girl is Chloe, because it says that she's around a lot of women, and then it also says that she stayed true to whatever, and Chloe's daughter's name is True. That's just me. So it gives you, I mean, it makes you think a little bit. But Roogle ain't got time for all of that
Black
stuff. So he's
show.
like, no, I ain't in it. All right, let's go to they finally, let me put this out here for you Beehivers out there who love Beyonce. They finally showed Beyonce's Victorian style dress that she did when her and Jay-Z got married. They renewed their vows in July, but they didn't have any pictures. My thoughts personally, don't come bring your pictures out now. You didn't want us to know. You wanted to keep it private. Keep your life private. Have a good day. Thank you. Okay, done with the beehive. Okay. Now let's talk about R. Kelly. Boom. Gotta do it. And we gotta do this all the time. And that's why I was like, I gotta call you, Mr. King, about this R. Kelly thing. So yes, R. Kelly, they had Surviving R. Kelly. And they showed it. R. Kelly denies all the allegations of sexual abuse and all that other stuff. I gotta put that disclaimer out there. He denies it all. Now, period. Denies it all. Period. Now let's go with my part. You have all these different women that are actually coming out. I remember, let me tell you something. I remember when they did the Aaliyah thing. I felt bad about the Aaliyah thing. I was like, oh my gosh, her parents trusted her with him because she was doing it and then she fell in love. Now, I will say the small encounter that I had, even with Aaliyah, you wouldn't have thought that she was 15 at that time. We were a little older. We were a little older because we drove down there to the concert. You wouldn't have thought that this child is 15 years old, but you know that she's 15. Him, the encounters that I had with him, and you heard the S, when I spoke just a basic dialogue, it seemed like he was kind of slow. Like I didn't know he was as old as he really was. Slightly delayed. You know how you talk to somebody? Okay, prime example. My cousin tried to hook me up with this guy. He was an older guy. Didn't know, but I asked the question. Anybody know me? They know me. I asked him, I was like, were you in slow classes when you was in school? I asked him that. She couldn't believe I asked him that. And she was like, oh my gosh. And then she whispers in my ear, she's like, he was. But you can tell just, conversing that is not normal. My encounters with Robert, because he was at the top shelf too, which makes me think like, this cat was old up at the top shelf. We was at the top shelf like, boo, what is he doing here? You remember?
I didn't go. I couldn't go. I was too young.
You were too young to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, he was funny, fun, great time, immature. I would say immature. So not to justify his actions, but I'm saying I know some older people that are really immature and they date these younger girls so they can feel like they're the guy because the people that's the same age be like, man, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But my encounters with him weren't, I wasn't looking at him like, oh gosh, that's R. Kelly. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. He looking for talent. That's why I talked about on the show with a local person here. he was happy to give him his tape. We were all there. He gave him his tape. This takes it all the way back. And then there's a song called Homie Lover Friend that he took. But we didn't know how to do, you didn't know how to do that thing as far as like getting it patent back then. And he was crushed. He was crushed. He's doing it now a little bit, but he was devastated because we know that's his song. Mm-hmm. We heard it at Skate Connection. We was like, wait a minute, those are the same lyrics. But he took it and he knew what to do with it. So here again, maybe he need to be on the next Surviving R. Kelly sitting up there on Lifetime, okay? Talking about so he done took my whole song. Homie Lover Friend. Come on now. But my encounters with him, not to justify the actions with Aaliyah, like I said, I feel bad for her parents because I know they trusted him in his camp. The other ones, and it was chicks that was throwing themselves at him. We at the top shelf. We talking Youngstown. We at the top shelf. I saw it. He wasn't cute to me at all. So you look at it and you be like, okay. And then the ones that was throwing them, and they had issues saying these girls weren't just fast. You can't say that he manipulated them. Do I believe he's a great manipulator? Absolutely, especially to a young girl. But, and I'm going to say, but you have those girls that were like going toward him. And even the ones that showed up, like Lizette, that was on the show last night. She said that she was going to do what she wanted to do. Her mother knew that she was going to do what she wanted to do anyway. So she left. So it was like, your mother going to allow you to come? Yes. And they flew different places. So I'm just kind of like in the, and then it showed that he was molested as a child. And then his brother ended up coming out saying he was molested as well. So I'm like, well, maybe that not being addressed and corrected at that age, maybe this is the outcome of him being hurt. Damaged people. Go ahead.
Well, my comment that I made that you made a reference. I don't care how much you lock up the lion. It ain't gonna stop the yearling from walking into the lion's den. You got to figure out how do you keep the baby lambs from walking into a lion's den, because they walk in and they have such a desire to be successful and to be famous. They're willing to wager everything. They're willing to put everything on the table because their desire for significance, which is the greatest desire in our human psyche, is for significance. They have such a desire for significance that when it comes to this type of moment to make the decision, yes or no, to walk or to stay, they make the decision to stay. And I left Youngstown, Ohio, to go to New York to do modeling in Manhattan. And one thing that I realized by being in modeling and dealing with international models from all over the world and sitting around in the evenings talking to models from all over the world is that I'm sitting in a room with girls that are verbally saying if they have an opportunity to get the cover of a magazine, they don't care what they got to do.
Oh, man.
Because here's the thing, the casting couch, and I think I was the first person to put that on Facebook. Uh-huh. And I not only put it on there, I defined it and I made it relevant based on personal experience.
Yeah, that's where I remember you talking about that.
The casting couch is alive and well, and the thing about it is you can condemn people for manipulating people, like the Bill Cosby thing and the director who Weinstein and all that, for what they did and the drugs and all that kind of stuff. But there's a whole nother side of that nobody wants to address, because if you address that side of it, it's like the comedian thing. Now you got this whole army of women from all over the world that are going to attack you and ruin your entire career if you say something that even indicates that these women were responsible in any kind of way
for their actions or their decisions.
If you say anything like that, they were behind the scenes, because women have risen to so much power, and gay and lesbian people have risen to so much power that they can behind the scenes ruin you to where you'll never get a shot and never know why.
Okay, go ahead, Kim.
He said it.
Okay, go ahead. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that when you have the power, you have responsibility. And even though people may want to desire to have some sort of fame or something like that, you, as the wielder of that power, have to make the decision on what you're going to do. And if you use your power to corrupt, then you should be charged accordingly.
Okay.
If my 15-year-old daughter wanted to be in show business. My 15-year-old daughter with a 27-year-old man is going to have her 30-something-year-old mother there. Period.
Okay.
When you say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in front of that spotlight, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to be famous, you're going to do whatever it takes. And I'm not saying that he had, as far as I'm concerned, the guy on stage with his brothers ain't got nothing on what I watched on TV last night. Okay?
Yeah.
So, everybody holds accountability for that. And for those who do not have an adult advocate, or for those who saw the stars and didn't see the star to be in their daughters, and to see the influence that was going to happen, I feel that there is no excuse for what he has done. But at the same time, they went to him, moth to a flame.
Okay. Now, I want to put this out here because I started it before. I'm going to get these facts out here real fast because a lot of people don't know. Some people blame Aaliyah's parents. When him and Aaliyah got married, that's what I was talking about when I had the encounter with her. That was right after the concert in Pittsburgh that my girl Candy, was at. And it's funny because we were younger. And I'm at the concession stand. Anybody know me? You know me at a concession stand, okay? She was like, hurry up. She was like, the hoe is on. Talk about home. I said, yeah, he got a sex demon. Let me get my nachos, though. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting it. And we called it back then because of his music was like, I was like, oh, he got a sex demon. And when he actually came on because that was the Salt and Pepper R. Kelly. That's when I got that T-shirt, you know. I'm cheap.
So this was like 93, Charlie?
Probably, yeah.
It was Let's Talk About Sex. They're hit at the time.
They were doing that one, yeah, because they were opening up for him. It was the R. Kelly tour. I can't remember what year, but that was about it. That was about it. It was the same year that him and Aaliyah got married, because what happened when they went on their tour bus, we were in the lobby. We were all at the same hotel. Mm-hmm. We were in the lobby, and then boom, there it go. And then I remember her hitting me. She's like, I told you. You know, that it was more to it. But Aaliyah had lied and said that she was 18. He had some people working with him. So it had her at 18 and him at 27 when she was actually 15. 2 months later, when her parents found out, her parents had the marriage annulled. That's why they're like, oh, were they married? No, they're not married. Mm-hmm. She was pregnant too. Mm-hmm. Air quotes. You know, so because that's just out there, you know,
that was on the show.
Yeah. Oh, was it on? Yeah, okay.
It was on the show.
So we couldn't really, that was just like word to the curb, but we'll let the dead rest. Mm-hmm. The parents didn't like the fact that, you know, on the show where it said that the girl busted in and he was having sex with Aaliyah. Now, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in case you don't know, and other states, at 15, they don't consider that statutory rape. They say that that's okay. They don't consider that statutory rape. So certain age...
The age of consent is different.
Yeah, thank you. The age of consent is different, so you have to see that. I'm still not justifying the action, especially with the little girl. Remember the little girl with the P-tape?
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. It got in my hands too. And then I was like, listen, I was like, what? I was like, that is him. And everybody remember that whole thing. It was like, she looked like a little girl just standing there. But his back was like turned and it was like, okay, is that him? I don't know. You think that's him? And then after so many copies, you know, it get distorted. And then I'm like, take that tape back. I don't want to go to jail for child pornography. That was my whole thing. But I've seen it as well. And as you say, if your 15-year-old daughter is going somewhere and you think that she has a talent, you're going too. As so Tyra Banks.
Yes.
Remember, her mother went with her like, oh, no. So you try to do what it is that you can do. Now, they had a comparison with R. Kelly and Hugh Hefner. There's like, well, what's the difference?
A whole lot. It's a whole lot different.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's that I don't recall Hugh Hefner being in this situation where he dealt with anybody under 18.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm going to put it out there. I don't know of that.
Okay.
You know,
I think one of the issues, everyone kept saying he was sick. And usually wherever the offense occurs in that person is the age they get stuck. That's the level of development that they are at the time.
And see, that's where I'm at.
If everyone is saying he is sick and everyone is still feeding this food to him, let's go to what do we do for him? What happens to this man who was also violated, who adapted by violating others? I mean, it's a sickness across the whole situation.
I'm mad at the camp.
And I'm not justifying what he did. At the end of the day, everybody is responsible for his or her own actions in adulthood. But at the same time, what is adulthood? My level of maturity may be different from yours, may be different from yours.
And see, that's why I brought that out.
My ability to cope may be different from yours, different from yours. None of us start on a level playing field. So if we're going to look at this situation, then we have to look at the whole situation, not just the part that seems offensive to us, but the part where the offense started on both sides of it. And that's what lacks a whole lot when we're dealing with situations like this, when we're dealing with abuse, when we're dealing with families and dynamics with people. We look at the part that hurts us the most or that offends us the most, and we start there. Let's go back to where this seed was planted in both gardens and work our way up.
Okay, go ahead.
My feeling on the whole, my focus is on the fact that the village failed.
Yes. That's where I'm at.
Yes.
The people that knew it was wrong.
That's right. That's right.
The thing about it is we have to take responsibility for the fact that whenever we look at somebody who is bigger than life, somebody who we know has the power to change either our lives or our family members' lives in the music, and he had that power, everybody knew it. That when they say Pied Piper, when they say everything he touched, he was like Midas. Everything he touched turned to gold. The one girl said when he did my song, he told me everything from how to dress, how to act, how the video was going to go out. All I did was sing the song. He told me how to sing it. He mapped out the video, makeup. He visioned everything, and her record was a hit, and the video was a hit, and he wrote it all. She said he was just a genius. When people see somebody like that, we throw care to the wind, and we begin to tell ourselves, like the young lady who brought her niece, the 12-year-old.
Sparkle. It was that same girl. Sparkle. Oh, she's a bad girl, and I was wondering what happened to her.
But let me tell you something. She knew what R. Kelly was. She knew what he was. That wasn't no secret to her.
That's why she was watching that niece.
Everybody knew it. But you know what? She kept telling herself, she's 12. He ain't going to do that. She's 12. He ain't going to do that. And when she found out he was 12, she had the nerve to say on TV, how dare you? No, how dare you?
That's why she feels bad.
That's why she didn't tell, because if she told, her career was going to...
Well, no. Let me clear that up. Her career did, because she stopped. Because Sparkle was a bad girl. And it was like, wait, what happened to Sparkle? When she saw the video and that was her niece, that's when she dropped out. That's what happened to Sparkle.
But she could have pulled back. She could have pulled back because she knew. But she wanted her niece to go, and she convinced herself that 12 years old, he ain't going to go down there. She might have heard Aaliyah, 15, all these other people
15,
young.
but
12,
she young.
He ain't going to do that. This is a 12 years old. This girl is 2 years older than 10.
Right.
Okay? He's not going to do that. When she found out that what he did when she said, how dare you? What she was actually saying psychologically in her head, how dare you violate what I thought you would do? See, she drew a line as to where, for him, that she didn't have the right to do because she didn't know him. She didn't control him. He's a grown man. But she drew a line that said, he's not going to go below this. My niece is going to be able to make it. She's going to have the R. Kelly stamp on her. She's 12. He ain't going to go below that line. And he went below that line, and she said, how dare you? And she said, shed a tear for that. But that was her.
Let me add on to that. Here's the thing. Her sister and her brother-in-law, they brought her. And then the one time she said she came in, and she was there without her. And she wanted to know, how did you get here?
Right.
Mm-hmm. She walked in, how did you get here?
Off.
She got dropped off. So now that little girl got her own relationship with R. Kelly. And that's where she was upset. And she's like, she shouldn't have never introduced her. Meaning, if she had not introduced her or her sister or brother to him, she feels as though that none of this stuff would have occurred.
But again, when it comes to the shutdown, could she have shut it down? Or did she not shut it down because now... who's dropping the little girl off? Have they said, wow, R. Kelly's taking a personal interest. We about to make it big.
Dropping it?
Now, if she tries to shut it down, who she got to go up against to shut it down? The girl's mother?
And father.
Exactly. Because now because now she got to argue with them over their daughter.
And that's what was happening. And that's why she stopped her career. And I'm not justifying her actions, but when she said she spoke to her niece and asked her what was she doing there, she said, well, he's having a big party with a whole bunch of kids.
If you already know
your teeth look good,
what this man is about,
you hit the nail on the head.
She already knew. So when she walked in and saw her niece there by herself, first of all, we're not talking about a little girl that she doesn't know. These are her siblings' kids. So if I walk in and you're not my sibling and I see your child in a situation like that, Mel, let me holler at you for a minute and let me tell you what's going on here. I'm not saying it's going to happen to yours.
This is what they say.
Be on the lookout. Maybe you shouldn't leave her alone with him because she might be 12 today, but if her birthday come along, she's going to be 13, right?
Well, we saw that, didn't we?
Let that go. I mean, I feel like at some point she didn't want to see her career falter because she said on the show, nobody had my back. She didn't expect herself to be hanging out there alone with all of this. She didn't expect that to happen.
Hey, let me get this number. If you want in on this conversation, feel free to do so. 330-360-8366. Again, 330-360-8366. Go ahead.
Because it was no secret what was going on. The village knew what was happening. Yeah. Everybody was just sucking it up because their moment of validation was being fed. Everything is going to come down to validation, gratification, and control. 100% of the time. Challenge me, I got you. I'm telling you, they didn't want their issues to get caught up, so they let this man do what he wanted to do. And she was no different at the time because that was her niece. She already knew what he was about. And even though she was hoping that she was getting her an opportunity, when she saw him alone with her, she knows his grooming style. This was no secret. And I'm not saying...
The moment she walked in, her foundation from the very beginning, even when she looked at her, when she laid out her standards, when his wife came and asked permission to come downstairs to get something to eat, she said, "What is this?"
Right. So she was able to see it.
She said, "That would never be me." So she had a standard of what made sense to her. When she walked in there, the first thing she saw right off the bat was the absence of supervision. When she saw no supervision with her niece being there by herself, that was her moment. That was her defining moment at that moment.
To protect her niece.
She knew the bear was in the room.
That's right.
Okay, and the lamb is here, and the goat ain't with him.
Now, you know what? I will say this. You have a point. So she drew a line, 15. Okay, he ain't going to go there. So she knew if her niece was 15, she probably wouldn't even introduce her.
Exactly. Well, she'd have never left. She'd never allowed the opportunity.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this the girl from the video?
Yes.
Okay, did Sparkle ever go to the authorities, even when the court case was about? Did she testify against
She did.
him?
She did.
Okay. And her career,
but
she
her
stopped.
siblings did not.
Right.
Yeah,
Her siblings said it was not their daughter.
The mother and the father of this child said it wasn't, because they was probably embarrassed because it went everywhere.
And she said she didn't speak to her family for 10 years.
Because the minute you validate that it is her, what does everybody say? Where were the parents?
Yeah.
They don't want
that.
that.
He just used?
We're
validate.
Yeah. Okay. Where were the parents?
See, now, and here's another one. Okay, when I say the village, in this school environment that we're in, okay, go back then. You got a basketball coach that says, "I always saw this girl with this guy coming to basketball practice."
Nah, I seen it.
Coming to games, the basketball coach thought it was weird.
Oh, not with them, yeah. That he would come.
It was weird that the little girl who's on the basketball team is at the games, and this older guy is with her all the time, and he ain't her father. The coach said, "I thought that was strange. How come you wouldn't say nothing then?"
The music teacher told him herself.
She knew it.
Back off these girls.
Yeah, the music teacher knew.
There was no secret. To me, ignorance does not apply here. Everybody knew what was going on.
The village failed.
And they tried to help him.
The village failed because he was so big. Either those who wanted to benefit from what he had available, and also you got those people who did not want to take on the challenge of fighting the bear if they said something.
Okay,
they were
now let's...
afraid.
Okay. So
right. I agree.
Now we have Bill Cosby that's locked up, and R. Kelly that's chilling. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean that's the funny part about this because, even though there was that one case, there's been no one that's been trying to solidify this larger argument for him to face criminal charges. You know, I mean, like there's no team of people like, let's find these people, let's organize them, let's get this. I mean, outside this documentary, but they're not. I mean, but shouldn't they be like gathering these women together to say that we need to figure out a way to get this predator off the locked up?
I think once the wife came out, she was on The View prior to, and then this documentary came out, and they had all these different women, and they were young, and some of them actually admitted to the fact that their parents did know, and they did have the opportunity to leave. Because remember, we talked about the R. Kelly situation with the father. Remember, he sent his 23-year-old. Or was she 23? You remember that? It was almost like a year ago. And he said he's holding my daughter captive, changed her phone number. Well, the wife ended up saying that she didn't know that her number was changed when he isolated her. That's right. She, her mother couldn't contact her. She had no idea that her number had changed because he had done that.
She had no idea her number was different.
Her number was different because she just wasn't getting calls. And then she called the mother called. She said even to get through to him, she had to go through like 10 people. She had a baby. He moved her. She didn't know anything because he isolated her. Yeah. Now, let's talk about Woody Allen. Remember him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. With his stepdaughter that he said, no, this isn't my daughter. This is my stepdaughter, my ex-wife's adopted daughter, who he married. They said he bought her and she was 13 years old. And then he ended up marrying her. Then they like, okay, well, what about Bobby Brown? He talking about some tenderoni. They're like, what about Keith Sweat? You may be young, but you're ready.
The Beatles, she was only 17. They addressed all of that last night.
Elvis.
Yes.
Well, are they talking about the music or are they talking about the acts of the people?
They're talking about the acts of the people. So like the thought process, period.
Yeah,
Thought
but if I'm Bobby Brown and I'm singing to a teenage audience, I'm making music for that particular audience.
The truth about it, Roni, she the sweetest little girl.
Did anybody bring up what's his name? Great Balls of Fire? They ain't bring him up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was it like Chuck?
Jerry
Lee Lewis.
Oh,
yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
He lost his career behind it. Yes, they did bring it up.
Yeah. But like I said, in different states is different. Just like Mr. King said, he was like age of consent is different. But I'm like, look at Keith Sweat. You may be young, but you're ready.
Yeah.
What's she ready to do?
Ready to learn.
So now you got to go back and look and be like, wait a minute, hold on, wait, what's really going on? How many people is there out there?
Well, how many people is out there? How many? Well, I don't want to go into the semantics about his song and all that stuff.
But the one thing about the R. Kelly case was, and the jury said there was a question of who the little girl was. Because she was not identified, they could not confirm 100% that she was under the age.
Right.
I think in Bill Cosby's cases, you had adults saying specifically who they were and that they did not consent.
And see, the little girl wasn't on the documentary.
So the victims actually went against Bill Cosby. In the R. Kelly case, the young lady was not identified, and they went as far to say,
man, her nipples was immature.
So
you knew she was young.
But we don't know who she was. We don't know how old she was. And because her parents said it's not her, they could not convict him for a known. And they say that that's really why they had to let him go. Bill Cosby case, you had adults who were saying, I will testify that he violated me. So I think that was part of the difference. However, I wonder if they had gone after Bill Cosby at the height of his career, during the time that he was Cliff Huxtable, would the outcome have been the same? Because because R. Kelly, because you go at them at the height of their careers, and that power, because when I watched it last night, my opinion was, how is this man able to get off like this every time? And they answered the question. They said he was at the height of his career. He was R. Kelly. They weren't going to put him in jail.
Okay. So again, R. Kelly denies any of these allegations of abuse.
You look at when they interviewed they only showed a couple clips where R. Kelly was actually speaking himself on his own behalf. And the one in particular was when he was sitting he was asked the question, they say that you like young girls. Is that true?
How young?
And he said, depends on what you mean by young.
Yep. See?
Now that clip right there, just what he said, his body language and everything. It's like looking at a serial killer. You know, that when he gives you an answer, you know he is fully vested in what he does. He owns what he does, to the point where his aggrandizement of himself says, "There's no way you're gonna take me down with this because I own this." So the girls, the one lady said, it got to the point where every day I had to call him daddy. He owned that place. He owned that
victim
place.
Trying to be in control. It's like, finally I'm in control. It's flipped.
Exactly.
And I just really feel like that. Some people, like I said, they're like, he knew exactly what he's doing. Yes, granted, but he is delayed. And his wife even shared that he couldn't even read or write.
So I know you're not doing this on your own. You're
Right.
not protecting yourself. You have people protecting you.
Look at it. Look now. You look at his answer. He's out free, and he answers the question. It depends on what you mean by young. Mm-hmm. Now what? Now his younger brother, who was with him, is now in prison.
That's his older brother.
In prison. He's wearing a prison uniform, and he says, "They say R. Kelly likes younger girls. So what?
And he said
like older girls.
Yeah,
women.
He's justifying his issues.
Okay, so he validated. He validated his brother. So that was a part of his protection around him. There were people that made what he was doing okay. Because again, if I'm feeding off of, it's the same thing. Like how did Michael Jackson end up dying with all those drugs that he's using? He had such a support system around him that they got to keep him going, because if he stops, I stop.
Now, speaking of Michael Jackson, let me go ahead and add this to you, add this fact. In case you guys didn't know, R. Kelly wrote the "You Are Not Alone," and that was for the girl Lizette, who was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And all of his music, as we've learned, the people that seen it, it was something that he was going through at that time, and it just like, it hit. So that Michael Jackson song, "You Are Not Alone," was her when she was pregnant, and he was letting her know that I'm there with you. You are not alone. Even though he wasn't there. But I said there was another hit. Now, 12 Play is having a whole different meaning to me, because I'm sitting here like 12 Play was like the Bomb.com song. But I'm like, I hope you ain't talking about no little 12 years old. See, that's me. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, you about to turn out another little kid. So it has 12 Play is going to have a whole different meaning to me, but we have to move along. Let's go. We got to get this going. You ready? Let's go. Roogle, what's happening in the movie world?
Hey, I just went to go see Aquaman. I didn't go to see everything I wanted to see over this holiday break because I just couldn't. I was bombarded with work. But I did go to see Aquaman, and he is indeed the king of the 7 cinemas. That's terrible joke. But now it's been some people don't like it. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. It gave me something I haven't seen, and that was a different universe in a way, where I think James Wan did an excellent job making Atlantis be something that was a spectacle to the eye. You know, the movie is visually stunning. And the story, the story is what the story is, but I would say that DC is on the right track when it has in this movie, and I personally like this movie better than Wonder Woman. For the DC Extended Universe, this is probably the best DC Extended Universe movie. Now, we're not talking about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. We're talking about Ben Affleck's era's Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, those movies to now. I think Aquaman is probably the best movie.
Do you think that it should have been split, like a part 1 and part 2?
It's a lot of movie, but I think
you ain't lying. It's a lot of movie.
But I think it was justified in being what it was, because you had literally you had three origin stories. And the great thing about DC versus Marvel is that DC has like good villains. So like I was a fan of Black Manta, because I'm like, you have this opportunity to save this dying man. And you're going to tell me about my past transgressions? You know what I mean? And how, and not say, oh God, I'm ruining the movie.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Spoilers.
Okay, go ahead.
But like, and that's also comic book lore if you've seen it. But I think like every person in the movie was justified to have their particular endeavor.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I liked the movie for that perspective. I thought it gave relevance to why in the other movies, because somebody said, well, in the other movies, he was kind of like, well, I don't really care for Atlantis or whatever. And I was like, well, this justified the reason because I don't want to go down and spoil the movie, but there's reasons why it links up good to what was already created in the universe. But I thought the development of the villains was an exceptionally good job.
Okay, now me who don't watch all of that stuff or read the comic books, he looked wonderful. He looked wonderful, but the movie itself was a good movie. I thought it should have been in 2 parts because it was long. Because what's a standard movie is what, like an hour and what?
Well, I mean, you may say maybe an hour 45 minutes.
Okay, I felt like I was watching E.T. or The Color Purple. It was like long, and I didn't know. Like you're explaining who the Bumblebee guy is, the one that had that black with the eyes.
Yeah, Black Manta.
Yeah, Black Manta. See, I didn't know anything about that. So coming in, like usually some of the other movies that Roogle had me go watch, I could just sit there and I figured it out. Here, I was like, well, what does? And at the end, I was like, well, what do he have to do with him?
See,
I couldn't figure it out, so I needed to catch up on some stuff.
And that particular character has had like 3 changes in his origin. One was that he was human, but then it was like there was some kind of like I forgot what mental. He had some kind of mental instability, and I can't think of what was wrong with him. And then there was another one where he's half Atlantean. Okay. And then this is another kind of take off the last sort of piece of it. But if you really look at the lore, it's his arch rival in many ways. And there's something I would tell.
They were like pirates.
Yeah, and that was not really what was up in the thing. But
for helping me to understand it, I looked at it as, okay, these are pirates. So it kind of helped the person to just come in like, okay, wait, what's going on? Okay, pirates taking over the sea. This is what's going on.
I mean, pirates is real.
Overall, if I had to, yes, because pirates are real.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was well written. I thought the graphics were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really good. And for me to not really be into this type thing, I thought it was good. It was a storyline.
Yeah.
And I have to say I enjoyed it. And if I had to grade it on the length was the only thing for me, because I was like, oh man, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, when is this gonna be over?
And that was a conversation I had with a few people, and I was like, well, I thought it was justified in this time. And I'll tell you like this: once I pay that amount of money to go see a movie, you can keep me in there for 4 hours.
Let's block out your time.
Like that, you can have an intermission and whatever. But I think it was justified in this runtime.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How much did it gross?
It's going to get $1 billion.
It's going to hit $1 billion?
Worldwide, it's going to hit $1 billion. It's like last I knew was like $890 million or something like that. Because I'm going to see it, and it's like week 2 or 3 when I seen it. And for me, some people don't like it, but I really enjoyed it. It was one of those times where I went to the theater and I was totally engrossed in what was actually happening there. And it could have been the theater I went to.
No, I agree.
Because I think I went to Tinsel's. I went to one of those leather seat recliner ones.
That's where I was at too, and I was focused on it.
That Aquaman tops Batman versus Superman as it nears 900 million worldwide.
Wow. Okay, so it's doing it.
It's doing it.
Well, I got my test on how long does a movie have to be to lose my attention.
Okay.
I was tested on the movie Heat, and I never sat back in my chair for 3 hours. Movie Heat.
Wow. Yeah, he
Robert
was
De Niro
amazing.
And Al Pacino.
Where's that at?
It's on Netflix now.
Is it?
It's old.
For
That's a
3
good
hours.
movie.
For 3 hours, I never sat back in my chair.
Oh, well, I might have to check that out on Netflix.
It's 3 hours long.
Val Kilmer was excellent.
Yeah,
that was a great movie.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Shop Talk question of the week. She makes more money than I do now. I find myself getting an attitude when she offers to pay on date night. Is it just me?
Yeah.
I just say to you, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go. What's the limit? You know what
He said, what's the limit?
Like, can I pick the restaurant this time since you paying?
It seems like the particular guy, I mean, I don't know the people personally because they send the inboxes. It seems like that he's used to being I'm using air quotes, the man, the provider, and is used to taking her out, and now she's making more. Does he have a psychological issue?
I think it's different. I think.
Go ahead, talk to
I think
him.
it's deeper than that.
Go ahead, tell me about it.
Because the only way I can see a guy having that as a major issue is it's embedded in his upbringing.
Okay.
It comes from where he grew up at and who his dad was and all of that. So he's looking at that's the position that a man should be. I don't think you can get that way just by being if I'm in a relationship with her and I'm taking care of her and I'm paying for everything and then we break up and I go to a relationship with you and now you got a better job than me. I don't really have that deep set psychological damage from my relationship with her that I'm carrying with you because it's something that I can kind of learn how to deal with. But I think when it's ingrained in you as a child, you got people now that are running around with stuff that's how they learned it from the time they were born. Okay. My dad always paid for everything. My mom never worked. She came like the movie Fences. I mean, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like he Denzel says to his son, to his son, I ain't got no money to give you. And he says to his wife, his wife says, well, go and get a boy the $10. And he says, well, I ain't got no money, but if you want to give him the $10, you give it to him. She said, well, I'll give it to him as soon as you turn it over.
Okay.
So he had to give her the money for her to do something with it.
Okay.
So you got people that grew up that way, and I think that's where that guy's coming from.
Okay. You have a valid point. What's your thoughts?
I think that the way gender roles are changing today, if you have a healthy sense of self, what's the big deal?
Okay. Now, I'm going to go with Mr. King on this one because that's why we have this show where it is redistributing the roles. Do you think that he feels as though that he might become Mr. Mom?
He may become Mr. Mom. Well,
she makes more money. Let me say it out there. Redistributing the roles when she makes more money than him.
Yeah. Do I think he's going to feel like he's going to become Mr. Mom?
Our husband's feeling like they'll become Mr. Mom.
First of all, my question is, what's the problem with being Mr. Mom?
Okay.
What's the problem? Yeah, because again, if you're going to stay home, if your wife is making,
but what about his upbringing? See, that's where I'm at.
Now, if he's stuck in that, see, now he's got to do a major transformation in his own. Sometimes we got to leave some of our baggage behind.
Okay.
Because sometimes we're carrying stuff through our life that we learned, and some of that stuff is invalid. Some of that stuff doesn't fit. Times change, and the question is, did you change with it?
Okay.
I feel that there are a lot of men who feel emasculated if they are not able to do financially equal to what their woman is doing. At the same time, there are some women out there who choose to emasculate their men when they are financially more secure than the men they're dating. If money is a focal point of your relationship, or if status or the ability to buy is a focal point in your relationship, then yeah, it's going to become an issue. Because now you have to go back to who's the man, who's wearing the pants, and what is your role. And there's a lot that goes into that. Personality, what this relationship is supposed to be doing for me. There are some women who want that man to be able to financially handle it all. There are some men who want to, but a lot of times that's a power issue.
Okay.
So I think that you have to look at the whole relationship and how people handle money.
Okay.
In college, I remember I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and he was saying that he couldn't date a woman who made more money than him.
See? Okay.
Married. And I said, so, and we're young. We're like 19, 20. We're playing football and stuff together. And I said, so you're talking about you're not dating any actresses, no supermodels, no scientists, no doctors, no, like you.
So he just cut himself off.
You eliminated all these amazing women that were, and I didn't just say this famous people, but scientists and all that kind of stuff. I was like, if my thoughts are, if you're with somebody and they're able to achieve some level of growth that is bigger than yours, then why wouldn't you support that? I think it's kind of silly myself, but I think one of the issues is sometimes I think men don't know how to receive being pampered, and that could be an issue. But I mean, in this case, like, I mean, why stop her? Why look at her success as something
as a negative?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's just like if you have a wife that wants to go to medical school or whatever, would you not support her? I mean, through it.
But a lot of marriages fail when that happens, because the perception of the head of the household, the perception of manhood does change. And you will hear people say that we started off here at baseline, and when one rose to another level, things changed. So you can't say that money doesn't matter, but you have to see how money influences the relationship as a whole.
Now,
interesting you should say that, because I know a couple that was married, and the wife was going to medical school, and the father of the husband said, when she graduates, she's going to leave you. That's fact. Guess what? It's fact. Go ahead.
So let's throw this one out here also, since we got all those on the table. We got to throw this out. I always say that if all you have to throw is a rock, you throw a rock. And see, when you have relationships and marriages, there's always going to be conflict. And the question is, in that relationship, is there compassion and restraint? Because if there's an absence of compassion and restraint, then the minute you and I have a conflict, the fact that you make more money is going to come up in that argument. Okay? And that's what's going to ensue. The question is, if you make more money than me, can you hold that back in the face of a conflict between you and I, where that never comes up in conversation? Because it only has to come up in conversation, in a negative conversation, in a very small amount. One time, just a small amount. And I'll never, ever forget that you said that. I'll sleep at night thinking about the fact that you said that. Is that who you are? Is that what you're feeling inside? Am I really not that guy? Are you waiting for the guy that comes around that makes the same money as you, for you to run into him on the street or at the work, and then I'm going to be kicked out the door?
But wouldn't that be his issue?
What?
Wouldn't that be his issue? If you thinking every time that if she makes more money than you and she might go off with somebody else, then clearly you don't like y'all.
No, but it's on that. I'm only thinking that because of what you said.
Okay.
See, in the conflict, people will have a tendency. You know how many people couples have been in an argument, and in the middle of the argument, the woman says, "Well, it ain't your baby anyway."
No, that's messed up.
And so, and again, it may be, but if all you got to throw is a rock, then you throw a rock. So you throw, because you just want to hurt the person at that particular moment, and people just want to hurt. They'll use whatever they can to be able to one up you. And if you're making $100,000 a year, okay, as a whatever, and I'm a mechanic and I'm making 35, and we get into an argument, it's very easy to say, well, listen, I don't really need you anyway, or I make the most money. It's easy to bring that up, and now that's an undermining of the whole relationship.
And I remember hearing a pastor say once, he said when he's counseling couples, the two primary issues of conflict are sex and money.
Well,
sex and money.
That's we're in a 52% divorce rate, and the bottom line is the two number one issues for divorce in our country still today is sex and money, depending on the order. And sometimes they're hidden in a diverse terminology which says irreconcilable differences.
Well, let me get this out here. Just I got to give you your facts. 38% of American wives, only 38% of American wives earn more than their husbands. So I wanted to put that out there. Only 38%. So that's not bad, is it?
And
Go up, lots of the audience. Go ahead.
Well, I would actually like to hear a breakdown of that question of the week from Kim, the go-to girl. I would like to hear that.
Okay, yeah, all right, Kim. But remember, he said date night. See, that's what we're missing. He said on date night. Okay. So one more time, here's the question of the week. She makes more money than I do now. I find myself getting an attitude when she offers to pay on date night?
Validation, because what he's saying, I heard you say, I do now. So I'm thinking that at some point, maybe he made more than her. I don't know what all the circumstances are. But whenever there's a situation where somebody is feeling on edge, validation, appreciation, gratification, or control. For him, it is a validation issue. Because why is she asking me that? Is she now seeing me as less than? Did you ask before when I was making the money that I was making? I would have to see exactly where that came from, because I heard you say now. So before, maybe he was making more. So now he feels that she sees him as less than. And now all of a sudden you're asking me if you can pay for the date. Did you ask me that when I was making more than you?
And see, that's what I got. That's why that was it. She makes more money than I do now. So that's it. And on date night. So I guess if they have date night, he's expected to pay. And now she's offering to pay for date night.
If it's date night, I don't think that he's expecting to pay. I don't think it's on the surface like that he's expecting to pay. I think date night personifies, this is a night where we come together, man, woman, and all those things that make me man and make me woman are what's expected. If she had never said that, it wouldn't come up as a confrontational issue. But because she brought it up, now it's like your ears get tweaked and go, wait a second, this is date night, and you're asking, wait a minute,
Well,
if I was dating you, if I took you out on a date, okay, would you on date night ask me to pay on date night?
No, because I'm going to tell you, if you're taking me on a date, I don't expect to pay.
Exactly. So he's saying this is date night, which means this is the day that we've designated as date night, which if she was going to pay, I don't think there's anything wrong with her paying, but maybe she wasn't conscious of the correlation that you're making right here between the fact that you're saying that it's date night. She might not have been thinking the significance of date night the way that you're thinking about it or the way I'm thinking about it. That you're pulling that part of the question right out as a key point.
I think that is a key point. That's why and this is his wife, so it's not like they just met. So I'm going with you, Kim, because this clearly has to be new. It has to be new.
Something has changed. And maybe to him,
which changes that she makes more money than him now, because I look at what he wrote,
and what changes is he believes her perception of him has also changed now. Because if we haven't talked about it before, why are we talking about it now? Why is he writing in about it if that did not get to him?
Right,
something changed.
Look at him. He like, please take the bill.
I think that he's a jerk. He's a jerk. It's a date, and she offered goodwill. Like, okay, I'm paying for the date, so let her pay. What's the problem, man? Like,
he's overthinking it.
Yeah, why don't he go to the
reading too much into it?
Yeah, what is he doing? Drinking too many protein shakes or something, man? It's ridiculous. She making more money, so she wants to show gratitude by flipping the bill for date night. Because guess what? Y'all married. It's all y'all money anyway.
So she was never thinking any differently. He perceived it that way.
He's just a damn jerk, and she need to divorce him.
What?
Let this relationship be what part of the 52. Maybe make it 53% of the. Because he's a jerk.
But here's the part that we don't have. We don't have the information as to what the conversation that occurred after she said that. What was her response to what he said? For him to bring it as a question, there had to be some type of dialogue between the two of them that made him feel like he didn't get satisfaction from her, so he comes to the court of public opinion to get his validation because he couldn't get it from her.
But this is really one of those things where I'm just thinking like, okay, she's making more money. So let's say her Christmas gift that she bought him was more expensive than the gift that he bought her. Is that going to be an issue too?
I don't think that would be. I don't think that would be an issue, honestly. But some men validate themselves off of how they can provide.
Yeah, but this is like, I mean, okay, let's say they was like, we're going to get a bigger house. And the percentage, let's say they said we're going to pay based off the percentage of what we make to get this bigger house. And her percentage of earnings is higher, so she pays more. Is he upset? I mean, like, where does it stop? This is just a date. It's a date with a married family, with a married couple.
I understand.
And he's upset? I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I get you, but
I
just
forgot the show is Mel Shop Talk.
No, it's us. It was Boys in the Community. This is what it is. But here's the deal. Just what Mr. King said. It may have been his upbringing. And some men feel like, okay, I'm a provider, but you have to change with the times. And he's saying date night. So I guess that's something that he looked forward to and made him feel like a man. You said the protein shakes. Maybe he ain't got enough muscle.
I mean, maybe
you know what I'm saying? Maybe
this is it. There, like Mr. King said, there is a backstory.
It has to be something else to it. But clearly, he's only expressing his emotions and his feeling and how he feels.
If you're listening, bruh, you gonna mess up a good thing and you gonna ruin your relationship over your wife flipping the bill for a steak. It's not worth it. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
And that's my point of view. It's like, just swallow your pride, you know, or make a hobby or something, or do something like that. I mean, like, the argument is like, you got some other issues you need to deal with, because this is not an issue that's her fault. This is all you.
This is all
okay. You. It has nothing to do with
It's all him
her.
and his mind and how he's feeling. So I think it's something like when he was younger, maybe his upbringing, and maybe his dad was like, "You're not a man if a woman." Who knows? You know,
and we don't know. Maybe somewhere early on, she made a comment about wanting to be taken care of and making sure she could be provided for. He didn't just wake up upset that she offered to pay.
Right.
There's some backstory here.
And he says he gets an attitude.
And let's make sure we
never voiced it to her though.
Since he spoke to the brother to give him some little counseling.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me speak to the wife. Okay, if your husband has an issue like that with you paying and you making more money, help him. You make more money. You're the wife. You have the power to be able to help him to feel and think whatever he needs to think through this new change process. You got to remember the power that you have been given. Eve was she had so much power over Adam, she made him forget God for a minute. God said, "Don't eat the apple." You said, "Yeah, we can eat it." He ate it. So you have the power to help him think whatever he needs to think about you making more money. Help him with that. If it's a part of his upbringing, bring him up.
I have a question for the man. Can I just ask a question for you?
Sure.
So when you are in your home and you're running your house and you're exerting your authority as the father or the man, do you feel any differently because you're not the breadwinner in the home? Like, this is my house, I'm going to run it the way I want to run it, or I'm the head of the household because I'm the man and that's what I learned in church. Do you still have that same conviction about your role as the husband or the father in the house when the woman makes more money than you?
Go ahead.
For me, if I'm the man of the house, okay, the one thing that doesn't matter is how much money.
Okay.
It don't matter. Because, see, the power that I'm given to run the household was not based on the money. It was based on my position as the father, as the man of the house. And if she doesn't circumvent that, if she doesn't make me feel less than because she's making more money, then I can assert my authority in the house as father, even if you make 3 times as much money as me, because the money is not where I get my authority.
Okay, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
Amen.
What's your thoughts?
The way I feel about this is like this. When I think about the house, half that stuff up in there I ain't want anyway. I ain't got no control over that. No matter who made the most money. I didn't want that. I don't want this. This is getting bought anyway. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no control over that. I mean, it's like...
You didn't want that vase over there?
Yeah, I wouldn't even bought that. Yeah, I'm like... Because we had an argument about that because I bought some playing cards and I said, "Look at these cards." And she's like, "That's junk." And I was like, "What are you talking about? That's junk." You know what I mean? Like,
this is the guy, the pop-up party guy.
Yeah. Look at my cards, man. I gotta show y'all my cards.
Look, he brought it. Oh, man, they black and gold.
Some serious
Yeah,
laid out.
Yeah, you got to be
that's
ready
some
to
laid
go.
out cards.
So I'm like,
Party.
So I'm like, I like it's like that locus of control, like, it really doesn't even exist, because you may be the earner of the dollars. Like, for example, the U.S. Mint prints all the money, but they can't just give it out. Somebody is telling, like, it's the Treasury Department is the wife. She may not actually, in this scenario that I'm talking about, she may not actually have the money, but she has control of the almighty dollar. You see what I'm saying?
like he was saying, like here's give
so
me the money so I can hand it out.
I just kind of feel like I mean, just going back to this scenario again. I mean, I can't see what the problem is.
Now, here's the thing. He doesn't see that there's a problem, but I do know, just as Kim shared as well, Kim the go-to girl, let's get it embedded in our head. Kim the go-to girl. Kim Ham the go-to girl. You have women that do make more money than men, and she works and he works, and then when she comes home, she's expected to do everything that she was doing. She's expected to do her, air quotes, wifely duties. So now we're redistributing the roles. Now, I did some research because I know that's what I'm going to do. Here's the deal. When you have the male as Mr. Mom, and she's working and putting in all those hours. So let's say, for instance, both of them putting in 8 hours. One person, regardless of how much they make, is working harder than the other, depending on their occupation. Then when you come home, they had the Mr. Mom. He still lacks 11 hours in a 40-hour week than a working woman in a 40-hour week when she comes home. She puts on 11 more hours than he does.
Because ain't nothing we do right. I've been in that Mr. Mom situation for a period of time, for one time. And I was like, I can have dinner ready, I can have all this other stuff ready. One runner be out of place. I'm like, the kid's 2 years old, run around. One flow runner, out of place. I can't believe this. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to go back and redo everything I did, then go ahead. You earned that extra 11 hours. Because you want to do it. You know what I mean? Because it's never quite right.
A friend of mine, he, shout out to him. That's the one who ran the VHS over to me. He was dating this girl, and he didn't work. And he didn't understand. She works 2 jobs. When she came from one job, he had her lunch ready, the whole 9, the house clean, got the kids together. And he didn't understand why she would get so upset with him. He said, I don't understand what the problem is. He was like, I have her lunch ready. And I said, you really don't get it?
She's a jerk.
She's a jerk?
Yeah, she's a jerk.
She come from one job, home, her man, they weren't married, but they might as well have been common law, at the house, and he handed her another lunch for her to work afternoon shift, and he wants to be the head of the household. That ain't gonna work for me. Because here's the deal. Hold on a second. So we did a role reverse. Trust and believe. If we could stay home, if we had the option, yeah, I'd do it. I might build like a shed in the back. My she shed. Yeah, my she shed, because I can't just sit at home. But he didn't see anything wrong with that. Over a year's time. So she is working. He chilling, watching the stories and all that other stuff. Because yes, he did. Because he used to keep me up on it. And she was working.
So she felt the need to have 2 jobs to keep the household afloat.
Absolutely.
Well, then, yeah. Then he didn't.
Was he working when they hooked up, or did he lose his job? See, I always got to go back to where does the story start.
Yeah. He was. Yes, he was working. Yes, he was working. Yes, he lost his job. But after a year, let's be real. If you're doing all this stuff, you spending more time getting me together. I'm going to need for you to look for a job too, brother.
Well, exactly, yeah.
So I'm not okay. I get it. I get it in a sense. And it's like, and you're raised a certain way. And what's your role? What is my role? Is my role just that I cook? Am I expected to do A, B, C, and D? Am I expected to keep the house clean? I was brought up that way. Yes, I am. Or is the man expected to continue to keep the house clean? Yes, don't mess it up. That's what he is. He's expected not to mess up what I cleaned up. The end.
But these are conversations that need to be had. I have a friend, her husband worked, had a really good job, and she went to school and got her degree, and she decided that she wanted to work. And when she came home, he was at this point retired. He retired from a really good job. And when she walked in that door, she still had to cook. She had to make sure the house was clean. She still had to do everything. And so one day the conversation came up, and the response was, because he told me I didn't have to work. I chose to work because I did not want to feel as if I was following behind him like a little puppy, always having to ask for money or feel like I wasn't entitled to what I wanted. So I went to work on my own. So for me to go to work and still come home and do the quote unquote womanly duties of the house, that was pure choice. You have to know the backstory.
And see that works. And let me tell you something, you appreciate going to work when you don't have to go. It's like, oh, he told me I don't have to work. So guess what? You go willingly and you have a smile on your face instead of, okay, remembering the why as far as like, why I'm not coming here? I got to do this. I got to pay this. And so you have those stresses and anxieties. According to an article in fatherly.com, one husband said, because this is a major topic, obviously, he says, call me the trophy husband. I'll gladly wear the crown.
Sign me up.
Look at him like, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I really the part what you said about working and not having the stress of like, this work has to make ends meet. I mean, if you're in a situation where you don't have to, where your employment doesn't dictate your survival, it's a whole nother world. And I would love to have some of that.
You want some?
I would love to have some of that. Love it.
And you have to realize that if you are a team, you are a team. You have to ask yourself, does it matter if the household runs or does it matter who's running it? Okay. Sometimes you got to put things into perspective. If you're making less money than me, but I'm still comfortable in our home, I'm still comfortable with our relationship, things are going the way they're supposed to go, does it really matter who brings in the bigger paycheck as long as what we saw our relationship and our lives to be is happening? I mean, you got to ask all those questions.
There's the flip side of the guy who's at home is something that he was saying earlier when he said, "I don't own none of this. I'm not in control of none of this anyway." See the fact,
that's pretty much it because she picking out everything.
Well, it even goes bigger than that. I'll say one phrase: man cave. Where'd that come from? A man's house is no longer his castle. The house is run by the wife and her kids. And she'll tell you, my kids. Okay? The husband, he got the attic converted into a man cave. He got the garage. I know a guy in New Jersey, he got a whole big house. His garage, he parks his car in the driveway, converted the garage with chairs and flat screen TV. That's the man cave. Because inside the house, he don't control nothing. Even though he paid for everything in there, his wife ain't never worked. That's her house, and he don't run nothing
out of
in
my
there.
kitchen.
And guess what?
Right.
That's right.
And he probably so happy to have his own damn space he can't control himself.
Exactly. And the man,
He can have a pop-up party in there.
Right. With his nice gold card.
He want to do in that man cave, just keep that door closed.
And you know what? And the man cave is off limits.
Right. Because he can't do nothing else in his house. It used to be the man's home was his castle. Not anymore. He got a subdivision of his house is the man cave, whether it be basement, attic, or garage.
Nah, that is the truth. You got to give him that space. Roogle loves space. That's his main thing.
And if you want to know how deep that is, Dr. Helen Smith wrote a book, 20 years research on men and their views on marriage and relationships. And the book is called Men on Strike. And she found out by talking to men how the number of men are marrying far later than women. And because men fear marriage because they lose control when they get married because the court system, the minute you have married and you have children, you have a house, the court system, if your relationship falls apart, the court system will give everything to your wife. And your
kids. That's
automatic in California.
I know a brother.
You can't leave the state.
I know a brother in New York. I know a brother who had 4 children, married. His wife cheated on him. The marriage broke up. When he gets his paycheck, he got $3 in his paycheck.
Isn't that sad? Well, I want to put this point out here before we go because I still got to do my Q-tip, so I have to do that really, really fast. In California, yes, if you get divorced and you have children, you cannot leave the state. Mm-hmm. That's why I waited and then filed for divorce. I was like, who paying for this? We ain't doing it out here.
Kids can't leave the... Is that what you're saying?
No. When we were out there, wherever the kids, both parents, because they want both parents to be in the child's life. That's the goal, to keep the family together. Mm-hmm. You can't leave the state until they are of age. I said, we ain't gonna get this divorce out here because who's staying here? Like if he decided to move to another state, the state of California want those families in those children's lives. All right. Real quick. And then one guy, he was a deacon at a church, and I don't know if he's still a deacon, but so I shouldn't have said was. But he was a deacon at a church, and his wife made more. Well, I guess they had this conversation. And finally, he said, I am the head of the household. And guess what she said? well, head this mother effer up then. That's what she said. And then he looked at all the bills and was like, well, wait a minute, let's talk. I was like, hold on, I can't even head this mother up. Gave him all the bills and said, well, head this mother effer up. That's what she said to Deacon, okay? I guess she had enough of that conversation, which probably was, him kept saying, he kept saying, had to have, I'm the head of this household, I'm the man of the house, I'm doing da-da-da-da-da-da, and had an issue. She had enough, and she was like, well, head this mother up. Boom, and then dropped all the bills. And I talked to him because working for him, I was like, wait a minute, well, let's talk a little bit, and let's see where we're going with that. All right, let me hurry up with the Q-tips real quick. We're going to talk about the copycat syndrome. Yes, it is. Some people say that it is a personality disorder. I disagree unless you watch. I disagree because single white females, that was a prime example of copycat syndrome. Okay, they say imitation is the best form of flattery. Now, the way to prevent this copycat syndrome, saying that if you do something, and usually it's you that notice it, but there are people that try to take your ideas and do exactly what you did, exactly the way that you did it, okay? But I just want to put this out there that nothing belongs just to you. Know that somewhere in the universe, somebody is doing the exact same thing. You just tweak it and put your thing on it. But the way to prevent this, especially if it's a good friend of yours, just compliment them on their style. Watch what you post, because y'all put everything on Facebook. Y'all like, I made a movie here. I'm the only person that can make a movie. Nobody else can make a movie. And if they make a movie, oh gosh, they copying me. I'm going to need you to get yourself together, because guess what? It wasn't just for you. Also, keep your accomplishments or ideas to yourself. That's what you have to do. Your plans to yourself. And then just come on out with it and do what you do. Staying happy when everyone else is down. This is a Q-tip as well. And the reason I say this is because it's the new year. We want everybody to be happy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Hello. We want everybody to be happy. So don't be upset with that copycat. Like I said again, imitation. This is what they say, by air quotes, they. Imitation is the best form of flattery. So maybe they look up to you or look at you. Somebody is always watching, not just the little kids, even the adults. They may admire you. So don't take it to heart or be offended by it. But staying happy when everyone else is down, remind yourself of your greatness. And this is what I do. If I'm sitting there and I go into the workplace or something like that, and I'm looking like, oh my gosh, why are they down? We should be happy to be here. Remember your why. Why are you there? Remember your greatness. Sometimes you have to talk to yourself. Even if you feel as though that somebody is copying, it's like, okay, why? But then when you focus on that, you give them your energy. I don't want you to do that. And I also want you to build a routine with yourself. You know what I mean? Some people, they do positive affirmations. I am beautiful. You is beautiful. You is kind. That one is funny with the little cat. You know what I mean? So just tell yourself, I am great. Think about all of your accomplishments that you have already, things that you've already accomplished, okay? Think back on that and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing it. Build yourself up. We got to do what we have to do. And those are my Q-tips, real fast, real quick, because we know the show goes off actually in 1 minute. Any last words? Go.
Happy New Year.
He said Happy New Year. And you?
Be happy all year.
Hey! And you?
Be happy.
He said be happy. That's just it. Be happy. Live studio audience.
Oh yeah, I'm with them. Just be happy.
Just be happy.
Be.
Just be. Be
Yeah,
what?
be. You, the best of who you are.
Hey, we
Be
already.
the cat, not the copycat.
There you go. She said, hey, there you go. That was it. Be the cat, not the copycat. And don't be offended. What's a new movie that's coming out that you haven't seen that you encourage people to see?
Spider-Man or the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
I saw Spider-Man.
Did you? How was it?
I liked it.
It was, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard only excellent things about it. And I think it's, I want to go see it this weekend.
Okay. Now, you didn't give us your grade on Aquaman.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed Aquaman. I'm going to go on the limb and I'm going to give it a B+.
You going to give Aquaman a B+?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know what? A-.
A minus. Why the minus?
Just because it wasn't perfect in everything it could have did.
Okay.
But I thought it was a great addition to the DC universe, and if they keep making these type of movies, I think fans will be very happy about the outcomes of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
One movie comment.
Go ahead.
Question. Why are people getting so religious on Bird Box?
Well, Bird Box, we could go into that. Look, then we're going to go into another one. I actually got... I'm one of those people. When I watched the movie, I was like, oh, okay, we're in this right now. And I took it that way. I looked at it. I was like, it's like a spiritual warfare. Like the demons chasing anyway. That's what I got out of it. And I had to bring it to the person that I saw it with on Netflix. I was like, And I got their view of what they thought of it. And I went that way. I was like, yeah, demons chasing us all the time. And I feel like that spiritual warfare. It's like, okay, we have this. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. And then they had, okay, you can't succumb to those issues. What was really interesting, I went to a medical standpoint too, which is kind of like, oh God, we're going real deep. Because I said, this is interesting that we're going through this right now. And you also can look at it as chemical warfare. Because I said it didn't affect the mental illness, the mentally ill people in that movie. And this is a spoiler. Mm-hmm. It didn't affect them because guess what? They already hear those voices. It was your quote unquote, normal people that was actually going into it. Don't do the Bird Box Challenge.
The Bird Box Challenge.
Oh gosh.
I only ask people this question. If you felt that about Bird Box, did you see The Happening?
Yeah, I thought it was the same. Like,
okay. Well, I didn't see The Happening. What is that one about?
It's a M. Night Shyamalan movie about nature, pretty much
rebelling against people. Mm-hmm. But it was the same concept.
Yeah, but
same exact concept.
It was just same. But it wasn't like you could like seeing what you do it. It was more or less. What was the app? No, it was just.
Let me end this show real quick. Yeah. Sorry, again, the live studio audience. She did today's footnote, and it is be the cat, not the copycat. Find you, embrace you, most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people, Shop Talk! Right here on Spreaker.com.